California Governor Gavin Newsom is taking aim at President Trump in the fight over redrawn congressional maps.
The governor's incompetent. I know Gavin very well. He's an incompetent guy with a good line of bullshit, and he doesn't get the job done.
Donald Trump is profoundly and gravely serious about pursuing a third term in the presidency, an audacious and unprecedented endeavor that would represent a clear, flagrant, and direct violation of the foundational principles of the U.S. Constitution. Welcome viewers to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. California Governor Gavin Newsom stated this with conviction on Wednesday, issuing a stark and urgent warning to the American public. He implored them to wake up to what he characterized as the president's persistent and deeply ingrained disregard for established democratic norms, traditions, and institutions. I fundamentally do not believe that Donald Trump genuinely desires another free and fair election, Newsom, a prominent and increasingly vocal Democrat, asserted during a live, wide-ranging interview at a summit hosted by the influential political news organization Politico in the state capital of Sacramento. The atmosphere in the room was a mix of intense focus and palpable apprehension as he spoke. This individual demonstrably does not believe in the foundational principles of free, fair, and open elections. He believes in power, and he believes in a system that can be bent to his will, not one that is constrained by its own rules. Newsom, who has recently garnered significant national attention and a larger public profile for his often merciless and biting trolling of Trump through various online platforms, and who is widely regarded as a potential future presidential contender himself, shared a telling anecdote. He mentioned that he had received a sizable and unsolicited stack of approximately 24 Trump 2028 hats, which were mailed to him by the president's most ardent supporters. The very existence of these hats, with their clear, unambiguous message, serves as a tangible symbol of a growing belief system within Trump's base, a belief that the constitutional two-term limit is an obstacle to be overcome, not a rule to be respected. The hats weren't a joke, they were an omen. Do you honestly believe he is merely joking about the prospect of 2028? Newsom rhetorically asked the assembled audience, his voice ringing with a mix of disbelief and urgency. He then proceeded to highlight Trump's ambitious, and highly controversial, plans to construct a colossal 90,000 square foot state ballroom adjacent to the east wing of the White House. This grand new addition would be replete with intricate gold trim, directly echoing the aesthetic and lavish design he implemented at his private Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. The proposed ballroom, a testament to personal grandeur on public land, symbolizes Trump's vision of the presidency, not as a public service but as an extension of his personal brand and a monument to his own legacy. Newsom remarked with pointed irony, who invests a staggering $200 million on a ballroom at what is their primary residence and then simply plans to leave that house? The answer is someone who doesn't intend to leave at all. The governor has consistently warned on previous occasions that Trump would likely make an attempt to cling to power beyond the conclusion of his term, as he famously did in 2020. At that time, he vigorously and relentlessly sought to overturn Joe Biden's legitimate electoral victory through a campaign of baseless and widely discredited claims of widespread election fraud. This sustained campaign of disinformation, which included dozens of failed lawsuits and intense pressure on state election officials, ultimately culminated in the January 6 attack on the Capitol. This violent insurrection was carried out by his supporters in a desperate and coordinated effort to physically halt the congressional certification of the election results, a final, desperate attempt to hold on to power. However, during Wednesday's interview, Newsom introduced a new and compelling data point to his argument, revealing a previously undisclosed detail from a private Oval Office meeting. He disclosed that Trump himself had directly raised the subject of a third term during a 90-minute meeting in February. The governor had traveled to Washington on that occasion specifically to advocate for much-needed federal disaster aid, which the newly inaugurated president had controversially threatened to withhold following a series of devastating and deadly wildfires in Los Angeles. The atmosphere of the meeting was said to be tense, with the political stakes exceptionally high. According to Newsom's account, at one point during the lengthy conversation, Trump pointed directly to a portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the only U.S. president in history who served more than 2 full terms in office. I immediately responded by saying, "I understand exactly what you are implying," Newsom recounted, detailing a moment of shared political understanding. And from there, He continued to elaborate and go on at great length about the concept of a third term in office, discussing various ways he believed it could be accomplished. He didn't just mention it, he was fixated on it. It is highly unusual for a prominent political leader, particularly a sitting governor, to publicly divulge such specific and private details of an Oval Office exchange with the president. The move was a clear breach of traditional protocol. However, Newsom appeared completely unfazed and unconcerned by this decision, a reflection of his increasingly aggressive political posture. Apparently, there are no rules or conventions that matter anymore, he stated with a shrug, signaling that in an era of unprecedented political combat, old rules no longer apply. When pressed for further details on what else was discussed during the private meeting, he said the wide-ranging conversation also touched on what he described as the president's crypto grift. This seemingly random detail from the conversation drew the observation from Trump that a meme coin was not even a real coin, a moment that provided a glimpse into the president's mind, which is seemingly always calculating angles for profit and power. The comment revealed that even in a high-stakes political negotiation, Trump's interests often turn to personal financial ventures, blurring the line between public duty and private enterprise. Although Trump has previously stated in public that he would be an 8-year president, and is unambiguously barred by the explicit language of the Constitution from serving a third term, he has repeatedly entertained the highly provocative possibility in his public remarks. Citing Roosevelt's unprecedented 4 election victories as a potential precedent to be followed, Trump has suggested that there may exist various ways to legally circumvent the 22nd Amendment. This amendment, which was adopted in the aftermath of Roosevelt's 4th election due to widespread concern over too much power being concentrated in one person for too long, states in no uncertain terms, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. When asked earlier this month whether he would run again in the future, Trump initially said, "No, probably not." But then he immediately added a significant and contradictory caveat: "I would like to run. I currently have the best poll numbers I have ever had in my entire career." This pattern of contradiction and self-serving indecision is a key part of his political strategy, keeping his base motivated and his opponents off balance. During the interview, Newsom passionately implored Democrats to take a more aggressive and assertive stance and fight fire with fire, an approach he is already actively implementing in California. He cited a new redistricting proposal in his state that would effectively offset a Trump-sought gerrymander designed to secure 5 additional Republican seats in Texas. This proposal is a direct and tactical response to the national political battle for control of Congress. Gerrymandering, the practice of drawing electoral boundaries to create an unfair political advantage, is a crucial front in this war. Californians will have the opportunity to vote in November on whether to temporarily override the state's independent redistricting commission and instead adopt new congressional maps. These maps, carefully drawn by Democratic strategists, would grant Democrats a more substantial advantage in 5 specific U.S. House districts that are currently held by Republicans, a move that would directly counter the Republicans' national strategy. Newsom's newly adopted and more combative posture, particularly his direct and often biting online mockery of both Trump and his Republican political allies, appears to have struck a significant nerve. Just this week, Trump publicly fired back, referring to the California governor as a nice guy, who looks good, but who was also, in his opinion, incompetent and failing in his duties. The attack, a classic Trump maneuver, signals that Newsom is now a major target, a testament to his rising political profile. "Wake up," Newsom urged the audience once more, his voice filled with a sense of urgency that was both political and personal. "We are actively losing this country in real time. This is not bloviation, and it is not an exaggeration. This is the simple and unvarnished truth. We cannot afford to be complacent while the very foundations of our democracy are being undermined by the man who once held the highest office in the land. The threat is not abstract, it is tangible, and it is